Kiba Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Aroti Kashoba Kiba Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Aroti Kashoba Kiba Jayo Jayo Gaura Chande Arati Kashoba Adana Uja Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Shri Prabhupada ki.
Jai Vishnu Pada, Sahaja Stosatara, His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada. Jai Vishnu Pada, Sahaja Stosatara, His Grace Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Jaya Jagdisha
Yes, Hare Krishna. Shall I start? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Sri Radha. Jayo Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Jayo Gauranitai 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 Jayo Gauranitai Prabhupada, 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 Jayo, Jayo, Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatarshat Shishimat A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtatarshat Shishimat Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki. Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mayapur Dham Ki, Jagannath Kshetra Dham Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Yamuna Mai Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for coming to the class or listening online. I would like to ask your blessings first to be able to speak something which is in accordance to the scriptures, which is helpful for all of us. And I would like to make an announcement that if anyone from the online listeners has any questions, then you can type it in the Manor Media chat on YouTube channel. If you go on YouTube channel and then Manor Media, and there you can type the questions in the chat. So, okay, we will start with the invocation. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, texts 35 till 37. So maybe if I read 35 and then each of you can read 36 and 37. That would be nice if we do that. And maybe for that we will need mic. Is it possible to get a cordless mic? You can try. Okay. So first verse 235. Bhayatranat uparatam. If you can repeat. Mam shante tvam maharata yesham chatvam bahu mato bhutva yasya silagavam Bhayatranat uparatam. Hare Krishna. Would you like to repeat? $235. Yeah. So 235. Okay, one more time. Bhayatranat uparatam mam syante tvam maharata Yesham chatvam bahumato Bhutva yasya silagavam. Translation. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Purport. Lord Krishna continued to give his verdict to Arjuna. Do not think that the great generals like Duryodhana, Karna, and other contemporaries will think that you have left the battlefield out of compassion for your brothers and grandfather. They will think that you have left out of fear for your life, and thus their high estimation of your personality will go to hell. So we will start from this one, and then maybe in the meantime we can read the next verses. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvei Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopasha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Rashi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So one more time the translation of this verse. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. So this is very interesting how here in the translation this word is used, the great generals, and in Sanskrit, it is Maharata. And Srila Prabhupada explains that this Maharata is actually like a title. Like general is a title, and Maharata similarly is the title. And that signifies someone who by themselves can fight 1,000 men in the battle, by themselves. And so this title is given to those great generals, like it is mentioned here in the translation. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only. So those great generals, they are Bhishma, Dronacharya, Karna, who are all very, very close to Arjuna. And actually Arjuna also has this title as Maharata. So all of them are considered to be great fighters. But here it is said that those great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame, so they have great respect for Arjuna because they understand he's a great fighter, and nobody can really defeat him in his military arts, in terms of he is the best in shooting arrows, and everyone is greatly respecting Arjuna. But here Krishna is speaking actually in that translation, in that verse, he's speaking to Arjuna and he's telling him that if you leave the battlefield, they will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. So they will think that, they will understand that you were just scared. You were scared to die, and you just left as out of cowardice. And thus they will consider you insignificant. So they will just conclude that you don't have really ability to fight, that this name that you have been given, this title of Maharata, is actually you are not worthy of this title because you are leaving the battle. You are leaving the battlefield. So their whole high estimation of Arjuna by the generals, it will change. It will change for worse, for opposite. They will criticize him for his behavior. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Lord Krishna continued to give his verdict to Arjuna. Do not think that the great generals like Duryodhana, Karna, and other contemporaries will think that you have left the battlefield out of compassion for your brothers and grandfathers. So we know that one of the reasons which Arjuna gives not to fight is compassion. He feels compassionate for his grandfather, his teacher, Dronacharya, his friends, his relatives. He doesn't want to hurt them, and we know that this is great feature of character, to be compassionate and to be soft-hearted. And this is the natural characteristics of a devotee. And we know, because Arjuna is a great devotee, naturally he has these qualities. But in this situation, this compassion is not appropriate. And if he does that, if he leaves the battlefield, then they will conclude that no, Arjuna, even though he has this title, but he really doesn't deserve this title. So this situation shows us how important it is to do our duty. And Srila Prabhupada was especially explaining that how the duty of a kshatriya is to fight, is to protect the citizens. And actually this word kshatriya means to protect from harm. And trayate means protect, and kshat means harm. So protect from the harm. And so this is the duty of Arjuna, to fight. And Srila Prabhupada was actually giving one story of a king who was ruling 300 years ago in India, and his name was Yashomatasena. And one time he was defeated in a battle, and his wife got to know about this, that he was defeated. And so then she heard from the messenger that he's come back home, he's knocking at the door, and she said to lock the door, not to let him come in. And then he was surprised, how come my wife is not letting me to enter the kingdom? And the messenger came to ask her why do you don't want to let him in. But she said, no, this Yashomatasena, my husband, he would never come back defeated from the battlefield. He would either leave his body in the battlefield and just never come back, or he would come back as a winner. So similarly, the spirit of a kshatriya was present there in 5,000 years ago in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And so this is how the kshatriya is acting. This is the spirit of a kshatriya. That is why completely for Arjuna to leave the battlefield would be something which is really to be condemned. And for a kshatriya, it is very difficult to accept any humiliation. By nature, they are very proud, and so in a way here Krishna is trying to speak to Arjuna in such a way that he understands that, actually, yes, it's going to hurt me so much if I leave the battlefield and I'm criticized by others. So maybe we can move now to next verse, 236. If you can repeat after me. Avachya vadamscha bahun. That is 26. Vadishyanti tavahita. Nindantas tava samartyam. Tato dukataram nukim. Translation on purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Yes, so Krishna is telling to Arjuna that if you leave the battlefield, they will blaspheme you, they will speak about you in so many unkind words, unpleasant words, which will really hurt you. And they will scorn your ability, they will challenge your ability to fight, they will challenge your position as a Maharata. And what could be more painful for you? Like we mentioned that a Kshatriya by nature is very, very proud, very confident of his abilities. So if somebody starts to challenge that, what kind of Kshatriya are you, Arjuna, then it will hurt him so much. So yeah, Krishna is approaching Arjuna in a very intelligent way. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, Lord Krishna was astonished in the beginning at Arjuna's uncalled for plea for compassion, and he described his compassion as befitting the non-Aryans. Now, in so many words, he has proved his statements against Arjuna's so-called compassion. Yes, so Krishna is astonished in when Arjuna first shows that he doesn't want to fight, that he's feeling compassionate towards the enemies. Lord Krishna, for him, this is something surprising. So this is surprising for him. He wouldn't expect that from Arjuna. And so this is uncalled for plea for compassion. And so that means that it's undesirable type of compassion. And in the Srila Prabhupada explains that actually that there are two types of compassion. One compassion is for the body, and the other compassion is for the soul. And compassion for the body is explained as a compassion which one might have if the man is drowning and one feels compassion for the clothes of the drowning man. This is compassion which is directed in a wrong way. And this is the kind of compassion that Arjuna experiences in this situation. But the right compassion is compassion for the soul. And this is actually the compassion that we need to develop. We need to understand that if we rescue a drowning man, if we rescue his clothes, it's not going to help the drowning man. But if we save the man, then even if something happens to the clothes, there is no loss. He can get new clothes. Similarly, if we save the soul, even if something happens to the body, what's the problem? We can get another body, we can get a new body. And but if the body is saved, but then the soul is lost, if there is no knowledge about the soul, then there is no point, because this body is going to vanish anyway. So this is what Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna. And he's saying that Krishna described his compassion as befitting the non-Aryans. So Aryan is someone who is a civilized person, and civilized person means not someone who he can construct many new buildings and machines. This is not the type of technological advancement Srila Prabhupada speaks about. It's about understanding the purpose of life and the real meaning of life, the goal of life, that the goal of life is self-realization. If somebody understands that, then one can be considered to be an Aryan. And so in this situation, Krishna is thinking that if Arjuna, this kind of attitude is not befitting someone who is supposed to be an Aryan. So now in so many words he has proved his statements against Arjuna's so-called compassion. So actually in this chapter, Krishna has been explaining to Arjuna that this the nature of the body and the nature of the soul, and he explained to him that the soul is eternal, but the body is perishable. So there is no point for lamenting, no point in lamenting over the body, and that the real point is to take care of the needs of the soul and to revive the real consciousness, the Krishna consciousness that is there, covered by the illusion. So, yeah, in this situation, of course, Arjuna, he has his attitude is he thinks that this is the right thing. Compassion is a good quality, and definitely it is, and soft-heartedness, but this is not the situation that this compassion and this soft-heartedness is to be applied. And actually Srila Prabhupada gave the example of a Bengali proverb, which it is Nashte Boshe Guntata. And Guntata means a veil which ladies used to cover their heads. And in this proverb, it refers to the situation when a girl, she's a dancer and she's performing her dance, and suddenly she can see her family members in the audience. And then she tries to cover herself, she tries to cover her head because she becomes shy. And that's when this proverb is applied, that you should not cover your head in such a situation, because now you are supposed to dance. Now this is your duty to dance. And otherwise, we know that it's actually very appropriate for the ladies to be shy. And in Srimad Bhagavatam it is described that shyness is a feature which commands respect. In first canto, 10 chapter, 16 verse, Srila Prabhupada explains that. But in this situation, she was not supposed to be shy. She was supposed to dance. This is her duty. So similarly, in general, it's wonderful to be soft-hearted and gentle and non-violent. But in this situation, when Arjuna is in the battlefield, he's supposed to fight. This is his duty, and especially because Krishna is asking him to do that. And if Krishna wants us to do something, sometimes even if it seems unreasonable for us, we should still do this. And Srila Prabhupada made this point how in Kali Yuga it's very difficult to recruit men to the army, and the reason is because there is no Kshatriya spirit. Because in the age of Kali, we know that everyone is actually a Shudra, and so there is no training to be violent, to be a Kshatriya in a right way, violent in the right way. And of course, it's not like that because some people can think that, oh, in Bhagavad Gita, violence is encouraged, but this is not the point. Violence is of course bad, but there are situations when violence needs to be applied, and we know even the sometimes the policeman needs to be violent, and in certain situations to protect the other citizens. So this was the same situation happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where this violence was needed. And just like Maharaj Parikshit, he was also, when he saw that the cow was being tortured, he was ready to kill Kali. So maybe we can read the last verse since we're running out of time. So 237. Hatova prapsyasi svargam jitva va bokshyase mahim tasmat utishta kaunteya yudaya krita nishchaya. Translation. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore get up with determination and fight. Purport. Even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjuna's side, he still had to fight. For even being killed there, he could be elevated into the heavenly planets. So in other words, Srila Prabhupada is in his translation, we can read that Krishna is telling to Arjuna that there is no loss for you in either situation. There is two options. Either you win the battlefield and then you can enjoy the kingdom that you have won, or you will die in the battlefield and then you will be promoted to heavenly planets. So in both ways you will be promoted. In both situations you will get a better opportunity to enjoy. So there is no loss for you. And even though Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjuna's side, he still had to fight. For even being killed, he could be elevated into the heavenly planets. So, and he had to fight. Yes, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that because that was his duty. And so, similarly for us, what we can take from those verses is that we have to follow our duty, whatever situation Krishna has really arranged for us in this material world, in this situation that we are in this lifetime. We have certain duties to perform, and if we do that, if we perform our duties, then this is something which pleases Krishna, and this is something which helps us to advance, to develop character, and if we do our duty, then there is no sinful reaction from that. And of course, if we can also remember that our eternal occupation, our eternal duty is to serve Krishna. This is our something which never changes. This is our original duty to be the servant of the Lord. And so gradually we can try to with whatever we do in our lives, to offer it to Krishna, to do it as a service to Krishna. And then not only do we become purified from our sinful reactions, but we also develop our relationship with Krishna. And the more we do it, the more happy we will become, and we will gradually understand that this is the goal of life, to develop love for God, to develop relationship with Him. So I would like to stop here and see if there are any questions. Okay. If you would like to share some reflections or something which you took from the class, which was important for you. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Yeah, that is really nice point. And I mean, many points that were there. But the main thing, yes, from what you're saying, you said that, yes, that Arjuna was perplexed. He thought that whatever he does, it will be wrong if he fights. And but Krishna actually gives him this knowledge that no, you cannot kill them. You cannot kill the soul. And this is something which is a really good point, because that brings the concept of how much we need really the guidance. We need the spiritual master to guide us, because we can only see with our eyes, with our imperfect vision, seeing things through imperfect senses, we can really get so confused, and so we can never make the right decision if we just depend on our mind, because we can only see very, very narrow picture. But then, like Arjuna, he thought that, oh no, if I kill them, that so many bad things will happen. But actually, beyond that, there's a big, big picture which only Krishna can see. Only Krishna can see the plan, because this is his plan. So that is the importance of approaching the spiritual master and just following. Sometimes even if we don't understand why do I have to do like this, but if we develop trust and in the guidance of the spiritual master, or someone like mentor, someone who is senior to us, who we can trust, who we know that they are bona fide, they are following the scriptures, then we can be successful, because we will make decisions which are according to what Krishna desires. And this is how we are protected. So, just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidi pranipatana pariprashana sevaya upadekshanti tegyanam gyaninas tattvadarshina. So just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. And the spirit soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So that is what we need to do, gradually be able to surrender to